keep in mind that any type of article can be created and shared with the various communities out there. So, it doesn't have to be just IT related. It can be for anything that you want to serve up to either support analysts or to end users, for that matter, for their consumption. The other thing I'll mention up front, since we probably have some Remedy customers out there, is Remedy Knowledge Management has been around for a long time. It used to be a third party. BMC acquired them a number of years ago. But very importantly, in version 7.6, they completely rewrote the Remedy Knowledge Management application. It is now an application written on the Remedy system using the Remedy forms, using Remedy ARS. It's not an integrated standalone application anymore. It's just another Remedy app, just like incident management or change management. And there are a lot of advantages. It becomes even more greatly integrated with those suites. It also, of course, has a much better performance hit and all because you're leveraging all of the information around the powerful ARS system, which is what supports the Remedy system. So, why do people use a knowledge management tool? And most of these are pretty obvious, but sometimes we have to really think about it's not just to serve something up to a user. There can be considerable savings for those of us who run service organizations by doing this. Obviously, if we can empower the end users to self-service, that's going to reduce the number of calls to your help desk, which may have some bearing on the amount of staff that you have to have for that help desk. And oftentimes when I would show something like this, I would quote some of these figures from the Help Desk Institute or ITSMF or something like that about what's the cost of a service call. But I don't do that anymore because I think everybody has their own internal metrics. But just ask yourself in my organization what is the cost of having people involved in trying to provide a solution to a request that's come in versus if that could be done through a self-service portal. So logically there, if you also have your staff has access to how we've resolved issues in the past and great knowledge articles, even if they do call or you are doing a traditional help desk, you should be able to reduce the length of that conversation with the end user by very quickly being able to get to the root cause and bringing up those knowledge articles or those known error articles that you put in your repository. That, in turn, of course, would also reduce call escalations. If I get more first call resolution at the initial contact with the help desk, obviously that becomes even more of a savings because, again, you probably got your own statistics, but escalating to level 2, level 3, it becomes incrementally more costly generally as you go up that knowledge level of your own personnel. A lot of people, of course, will leverage this knowledge repository to do things like frequently asked questions or most popular issues that have come up, and which can reduce training cost, or quite honestly, it's just another way for some of the people coming in through self-service, even if they don't see the exact article they want, maybe it's in the frequently asked questions, and I'm sure we all leverage that. The other thing it's going to give you, if you're using the knowledge articles as the resolution to the request, you're going to have a consistency on what's put in your resolution fields or what are put into your answer fields, which starts a better dialogue with customers. But number two, then from a reporting standpoint, you're going to be able to get a much more key performance indicators because I've got a common set of syntax that I can report and do metrics on as I go through there. Avoid duplicate research by capturing new information at the workflow. So if I'm an analyst, and I'm playing IT now, but if I'm an analyst and I come up with a great solution to an issue that we've got, one of the things I can do is I can hit a button and say, propose this to the knowledge manager to review and see if it's worthy of going in our catalog. And that's how the content should get better and better over time as more and more of our knowledgeable workers are able to contribute to that knowledge base. And then, of course, you're obviously capturing a lot of various knowledge on how things are being used, who's using it, how many times are we solving problems through self-service, how many times are articles being viewed, which can lead us to thinking about how often we need to do refreshes and those types of things to the base. So one of the things I've mentioned several times here is enabling your end users. So this is a screenshot of the self-service portal that Remedy provides, which is a one-stop shop for users to come in. And as you can see here, they can come in and do IT-related break-fix things, but as this screen would suggest up here, I've got other departments that may want to leverage this around, HR, or I've got issues that I want to talk about with the facilities or whatever other groups you want. Not only can you leverage a portal like this as the front end to that, but there can then be knowledge articles associated with all those different groups. So it's not just how to get rid of a blue screen of death or something. It could also be, how do I change the beneficiary on my 401k form to HR? Whatever knowledge articles you want to put out there, you're going to be able to do that. And up here it's showing you, just pointing out that in your global search there, your unified search, you can type in what you want, and again, it will leverage all the departments that you have in here. This is a capture of the actual knowledge console itself, where the analysts, the support reps and all would work to come in and actually look at and manage content as you go through there. And what we want to point out here, again, that this is very IT-centric at this point, but if you're leveraging the Remedy systems, as you know, Remedy can be multi-tenancy, meaning it can have different companies or groups that are all sharing that same instance of Remedy. And now that knowledge management is just another Remedy application, the knowledge management application will leverage that multi-tenancy capability. So what I'm really saying there is, if you had multiple divisions or companies using it and you had article-specific content to that company or division, you can control that, leveraging the multi-tenancy here within the knowledge management console. You can get over on the left-hand side, of course, it's talking about when we create articles, we are very careful to make sure that they go through the proper approvals and review processes before we publish them out, because obviously only if the articles are very crisply written and are very decisive in what they're suggesting to the end user to do, they'll lose faith in the system. So we make sure that we go through the content review and the proofreading and the subject matter expert reviews and make sure that we control that process before things are sent out into the field. We also allow your staff users, whatever department your staff user constitutes, it doesn't have to be IT, when they log into Remedy, they can come in and in their portlets that populate their dashboards, because each person can configure their own. Not only can they have incident-related things, but I can have knowledge content showing right on my login page as a staff member, so I can keep track of articles that I've wanted to review, or actually new articles that have been published, and see those right from the time that I log into the system. And again, just the new look and feel of the version 7.6 that you get in here. Of course, to be a really good knowledge article system here is the ability for designated personnel to go in and create the articles. And when I get into the live system, I'll kind of show you these, but you've got several different types of articles that you can create. You can have very, very rich content, including obviously JPEGs. You can have video files on showing somebody how to do work, and again, very rich text. You can have hyperlinks to other locations if that's what the solution would suggest, if they go to a particular location where more content is available. All of that can be configured by the people who come in and create these articles. And we can have different versions of articles. As we improve and increase the content of an article, it'll do automatic versioning control so that only the latest version is going to be viewable to those users, but the knowledge admins and all can get to all of the versions to kind of see the history and the audit trail of what's gone on within there. And what you're seeing across the top is talking about that as we're into the content creation here, there is a best practice workflow of we were just beginning the process of developing the articles. We get them in draft view. We finally get them into reviews. Again, that was the subject matter expert and the proofreading and so forth. And then we ultimately publish that article out. Then the article details themselves, of course, and we've mentioned this a little bit. It's leveraging the multi-tenancy, or it can be a global article viewable by everyone. You can create articles in different languages if you have that type of environment and you need to be able to do that. It fully supports that right out of the box. And as you can see on your left-hand side, if you want to create articles and have them tied directly to one of your business services or service catalog entries, so that anytime I'm reporting an issue with email or my SAP system or whatever, if you want those knowledge articles that are associated with that business service, they will automatically then pop when somebody does the search there to find those situations. So a lot of people say, well, how do you control who sees what within the organization? So obviously, anybody deemed as an administrator, as you would expect, can view an article in there. Then, depending on your role as a user, if you have unrestricted access, you can see it, or if you belong to a particular division, we talked about that multi-tenancy would determine whether you could see articles. Obviously, any article that's been assigned to me or my group, I can certainly see there. Then, members of groups that were defined as an article visibility. Obviously, if it's global, they can see it. And then, then you can set up the visibility groups. And when I get into the live code again, I'll actually kind of show you how that looks as you go through there. So let's go over and actually take a look now at my remedy system here, and we'll come in and talk about it. So the first thing, this is remedy 7604 that we talked about, and just as in the slide, I started off talking about leveraging the self-service portal for those users to not only report issues and request things, but as long as you're saying, I want to search the knowledge base, they can just go in, type in whatever their question is and return that. And from an end-user standpoint, it's going to go out and it's going to look across those knowledge articles for the published articles that we have out there and bring back a relevant list in kind of a Google-like ranking of what we're seeing out there. And as they're looking at this, if I type something as generic as a printer, if I had too many hits come back, I can always go in and use the advanced search feature, which is part of this, and say, well, I need to cut down those 100 returns I got back, and I'm only looking for articles that contain a particular word, or I'm looking and don't pay attention to the word generic printer on there, or I'm looking for a particular phrase that might be within that article, and it just gives that user the ability to whittle that down a little bit. And again, depending on how you configure this, if you want to say, and this would normally be more controlled by the admin to dictate, but I'm just trying to show you here, I can have it return incident resolutions that we've done. So every time a staff member resolves an incident, if I wanted those to show in the search, I would. Then normally you wouldn't necessarily give this to the end user, but you might give that type of ability to other staff members that are out there. If you are leveraging some of the very rich content that are available from other providers out there, such as KBI and Right Answers that have great content, well, Remedy can leverage that as well. We can bring back Right Answer knowledge articles as well as others and have them show up in the solutions that we offer up as well.